Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We still don't have many attendees with us, so I will speak slowly while the number is rising. Welcome, everybody. It is the first educational webinar in the organization of Work Package 5, Translation and Innovation inside the project ERICA. My name is Adriana Paninic. I am a project manager at CCRI, that stands for Children's Cancer Research Institute, or St. Anna Kinderkrebsforschung here in Vienna. I will be chairing today, and the webinar is entitled, as you already know, Current Research Services Available for the Rare Disease Community. I would also like to welcome you on behalf of Professor Ruth Ladenstein, who is a pediatric oncologist, a leading expert in neuroblastoma, and a senior consultant in the St. Anna Children's Hospital in Vienna. Professor Ruth Ladenstein leads trial units at St. Anna Children's Hospital. She's also a member of the EU Cancer Mission Board, also head of the Austrian Pediatric Oncology Group, and this list really goes on. But what is important to say that she is a coordinator and a leading force of ERN PETCAN, and of course Work Package 5, Translation and Innovation inside Project ERICA. Work Package 5 is coordinated also by our partners from EATRIS, the European Infrastructure for Translational Medicine, headed by Anton Ussi. And I'm very pleased to introduce to you our today's only panelist, Anton Ussi, who has been Operations and Finance Director for EATRIS since 2015. He specializes in public-private and also public-public collaborations and deployment of infrastructure for translational research in medicine. It is our aim today to make a step forward to empower ERN researchers to use research services available today in rare disease ecosystem. Okay, during Anton's talk, we will be asking you some poll questions. Actually, we will ask these questions before he starts his presentation, because it will help him to learn more about our participants, whether they already have experience in translational research and what kind of job positions are they at this moment doing. So we will ask you some questions, and we would really appreciate your active participation. We would also like to make this webinar as interactive as possible, so please feel free to ask questions during Anton's presentation. If some questions we feel that are urgent to give a response to, then we will answer immediately, and some other questions will be left to be answered at the end of the presentation. We think that Anton's presentation will last around 40 minutes. And then afterwards, of course, we will continue to discuss everything that you are asking Anton and other participants. So, Anton, thank you for preparing this webinar for all of us. We are impatient to learn from you, and the floor is yours just after I ask these questions. I'm waiting for the number to go up. At this point, we have 33 attendees. Do you think, Anton, that we should ask questions immediately, or should we wait?
Yep, no, it's fine.
Okay.
We probably won't use that much more by now, so this is totally fine. Thank you.
Great. Then the first question will be launched in a second. Yes. Great, great, thank you. We are receiving responses very well.
Yeah, interesting. Around half are research or project managers, about a third
Yes.
clinicians.
Yes, we project managers and clinicians. Good. Lab scientists also 7%. And we have other. This could be also interesting. We will
Yeah,
just
okay.
wait for one more second. Okay, good. We will close this one. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. We will now ask another question. Okay. Launch. Are you or have you ever been involved in translational research in your career so far? Okay.
Okay, so quite a lot of people involved in the process of going from lab to clinic and back. Very good.
Yes. Okay. Very good.
Yeah. So today
Okay.
we'll aim somewhere between. So we'll try and make it clear for those that aren't aware of the process, but really it's going to be a bit focused on the services, and it should be relevant for both types of individuals, both those that have not yet conducted translational research and those that have. But there's also a lot of basic research services in there as well that might be useful or interesting for today's attendees. So
yeah.
Should cover everything.
Okay, just one hint. Sadly, this platform doesn't allow us to have these questions online for everybody to see, but the important thing is that Anton sees your answers, and this will give him a direction on how to lead his presentation. Yeah.
Yeah. So the 58% are involved in translation research, and about 30% are not yet, but would like to learn more and connect with the community. So I think that's perfect.
Yes.
And then 12% are not involved. Yeah, interesting.
And we have a final question. It's launched now. Are you aware of the services of the European research infrastructures, such as, now you have them here listed?
Yeah, as expected, we have had this feedback before. Many of the research infrastructures suffer from a lack of awareness because we don't have large advertising budgets. So more than half, 57%, have never heard of the European infrastructures. And 30%, yes, heard of them, but know little about them. And so this is really the goal of today, to be aware of some of the services that are available and directly useful for you as a researcher or clinician scientist or clinical researcher. And so, yeah, so you're in the right place today to hear more about the kind of services.
Okay.
And of course, yeah, go ahead.
Now that you have your answers, are you ready to
ready to go?
To start the presentation?
Yeah, super, thank you.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
A big thank you to you, Adriana, also for organizing everything and for co-moderating with me today. So I'm going to share my screen. Now I'm going to try and get through these slides at a quick pace, not because I don't want to go into detail what the precise services are, because that you can all find out where in all the websites and the things we link you to, and the European Joint Program central help desk can help with any question. Today it's really just sort of an orientation that there are infrastructures that can help with certain types of question, to know that, okay, if I want to talk about mouse models, then I can go to InfraFrontier, and then we have some space at the end of the presentation to talk about to answer any questions about how to engage, that kind of thing. You can see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay,
yes,
super. I'm going to make a start then. Try and minimize the things that are in the way here. Okay, so why would you use European infrastructure is a good question. A lot of the time people will use resources that are close to them, but not necessarily ensuring that the resources are the best and the most useful available, or are actually fit to task for what is actually being hypothesized in the study. And a big problem that we have, especially in preclinical research, so anything that's not under GCP and is not involving human studies, is the reproducibility. Now, that lack of reproducibility, which ranges from 50 to 80% non-reproducible, means that we're wasting time and money when we should be trying to really develop answers for rare disease patients and their carers. So at the Global Biological Standards Institute in the US a few years ago, Leonard Friedman did some work to try and understand the sources of variability. And as you can see from the box on the right, the big box, that the sources of variability are really quite actionable, as long as you get the right people involved at the right times. Research nowadays, especially translational research, is very multidisciplinary. You need to work with the technologists and the people and the study design managers and the statistical methodologists who really understand the various elements of the technologies you're going to use and how they are fit to task, so that you can ensure that you're designing your study correctly, that is robust, that the way you manage and handle the data is robust and is fit to task, and the laboratory quality requirements are up to snuff, and then obviously your materials are very important. So you see here, all of these are actionable with the right team in place. So how do you find the right team in place? Well, there are a lot of organizations out there that can help you, and the European Joint Program in Rare Diseases specifically, ERICA now, this new project specifically focused on ERNs, the research infrastructures themselves have been designed and provided in order to support the community to do high quality, reproducible, robust, and patient-centric research. And that's why we're here today. So first thing I can tell you is that ERICA has just started. So this coordination and support action project has just started, but we've already put up a static but searchable list on the current services available for you as an ERN researcher, as a clinician scientist, or as a research project manager. So feel free to visit that at the ERICA website. At the end of this, we're going to put these slides also online on the ERICA website and on EATRIS. So all these URLs and websites will be available for you to visit again. So the research services on that catalog are available and really goes into quite a lot of detail on who provides what, ranging from samples to preclinical models to expert advice, such as engaging regulators and that kind of thing. So it's quite a large, dizzying world of infrastructures out there. I mean, besides a panoply of national infrastructures that you will probably be quite well aware of, the European infrastructures, I think, now number approximately 16 in the biomedical field. There's more than 50 covering all sciences, but there's about 16 in the biomedical field. And there's a lot, each offering very specialized services. Today, I'm going to focus on a few that are specifically and very relevant for rare diseases and have asked us to share their information so that you can get a good view of what the possibilities for them to support you in your rare disease research are. But first, we're going to start with the European Joint Program in Rare Diseases. And it's likely you've heard of this or probably even involved in some way, or colleagues are involved, because it's such a large program. It's really a multi-year program that is also multi-sectoral. There are research funders, research infrastructures, researchers, data infrastructures, the clinical research and preclinical research, all covered there, designing infrastructure services, tools, database, etc., to support the RD development process. This is now in its third year, moving on to its fourth year, and it's basically providing lots of different pillars of excellence. Besides the coordination, there's research funding from the member states, about 35 research funders. They put out calls every year or so, and there's one opening in just a couple of weeks. There's pillar 2 with data, tools, and services, and we'll be featuring a virtual platform that will be launched soon. Capacity building, lots of education and training opportunities there. I would suggest that you scour the website for the opportunities there. There's a lot. And then the support of more applied research, translation and clinical research for the community, with the objective to really build infrastructure that helps that process back and forth from clinic to lab to really understand the diseases that so many patients suffer from, and to actually develop interventions that are useful for them. It's a very big community, more than 1,800 people in the mailing list, 91 institutions, governmental agencies, and we cover basically all of Europe and beyond, and all 24 ERNs are involved somehow. So the EJPRD should be your first place to go. Any question? EJPRD, these people will help you. And they really do provide a broad range of support activities that are available, ranging from that funding, but also training, tools to support the funding access process, fund the execution of the project, support development registries. As a clinician, this is particularly relevant for you. Most of the people on the call today are clinicians. So to really accelerate the diagnostic process, reduce that odyssey for diagnosis, try and build natural histories for the diseases. But then it covers really everything, including patients, very active involvement of organizations like EATRIS in this, and making sure that we're very patient-centric in our approach and patient-engaged as well. So there's a lot of resources that are available to you. There's also funding for networking. So do have a look on the website about the networking opportunities. There's grants of up to 30,000 euros for a community to network around specific subject areas. Obviously, the multinational funding from the funding pillar. The virtual platform really is designed to be quite a holistic tool supporting anything data related, and good data practice, including verification and how to do fair at source. Obviously, knowledge sharing, knowledge management is very important. So there's one central help desk. That help desk gives you access to other elements. So the clinical trial help desk from Work Package 20, the innovation mentoring support from Work Package 19, plus any other question they can answer, the EJP RD help desk can help you there as well. So just a quick moment on the Innovation Management Toolbox, which is now in alpha testing phase. This will be launched to the public quite soon. So if you're conducting research that's really about application of a hypothesis, taking it towards clinical development, then the Innovation Management Toolbox is an interesting first place for you as a self-help tool. So the idea is that you're able to put in keywords. So you could say there, biomarker validation, and it will point out resources that are available to you that help you understand what the processes are. You're not going to become a professional diagnostics developer or a drug developer overnight, but at least it helps you understand what the kind of questions are that will have to be answered and whether to find the resources and the service providers that can help you. So we're busy building that now, and it really does cover both diagnostic and the therapeutic elements of things, and covers things like regulatory, how to find support for regulatory access and contact with the regulators, drug development processes, these kinds of things. And there are also some use cases to help you take you step by step as practical guides through the kind of questions you might have. So keep your eyes open for this. This should be supportive and interesting for you in the future.
Anton, just a quick question. Is IMT already available? Is it still in development phase?
It's still in development, yes. So it'll be coming. I think before the end of the year we'll have it fully public. Right now we're testing the alpha version because it's quite a complex search function that we're using with a lot of different layers of metadata to help people find the right resource for the right question. So it's undergoing extensive testing to make sure that it gives useful answers. Otherwise, it's just going to be some rubbish database that nobody uses. But it will keep you posted. Yes. So on the EJP RD website will be the place to find it when it goes live. But we should have it live before the end of the year.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks. What is available now and always is the mentoring service. So this has proved to be very popular and very successful in Work Package 19. Basically, for people who wish to undertake translational research or who wish to really ensure that their basic research is translatable in the future, we offer a mentoring service where a researcher can come to us and under full conditions of no conflict of interest and confidentiality, we provide access to specialized translational researchers. So people who have experience in drug development, gene therapy development, development of biomarkers towards clinical diagnostic or decision-making diagnostic tools. So really the people who are experienced either from industry or elsewhere in the applied research process. So really about the validatory, confirmatory aspect of research that's quite different from that open blue sky thinking of exploratory research. So do please feel free to reach out to us if you think you could benefit from that input of people who understand maybe what's the regulator going to ask you when you want to do a phase 1 clinical trial study. What's the gold standard animal model to do the safety and the tox and the efficacy studies on, etc. Things that you might be aware you need to know but don't know who to ask. This might be the place first to come to. So we'd be very happy to hear from you. Again, you can contact us at the end of this whole presentation. There's a contact for Roseanne at EATRIS, or the EJP help desk will take you to us eventually. So do please come that way. Totally free of cost. We can help you if you've been shortlisted in, let's say you apply for the next joint call. If you've been shortlisted to go to second phase, come and contact us. We can give you mentoring in between and then continue the mentoring if you're financed afterwards. We can't do pre-funding, so in phase 1, because there'll be about 150 applications for the next call. It would be a bit difficult for us to give you any quality responses. So if you're shortlisted to phase 2, let us know and we can come and help you. Or if you have an active project already, or have a project you're thinking about outside of the funding call, call us and we can help you with some of that applied research expertise. So now I'm going to spend a bit of time on the individual infrastructures, just so you can get an idea of the kinds of resources they might have. I don't want to go into too much detail because it'll be unnecessary for now, but just to know that they exist, and for a specific type of question, they're there for you. And then if you have any questions, you can contact them afterwards. So this is BBMRI ERIC, which is the biobanking research infrastructure. It's one of the largest of the distributed life sciences infrastructures, and it covers the process of biobanking and access to samples and related data. So basically, from their central hub, you can expect to be able to get support from the ethical, legal, societal issues branch, which they've done a lot of good work and have a lot of accessible resources and people there who can help with LC services. And in fact, there's even in each national node, there is a local desk, because obviously these LC questions are very regionally specific. You can access their biobank directory, so really be able to have line of sight to potential samples and the related data necessary for good practice. And then they have support around quality management and provide also research and education. So anything to do with biobanking, accessing samples to the biobanking process, BBMRI are your people. So you see here, there's also training specifically for rare diseases. And you can also see biobanks that have specific quality accreditation for the biobanking process, which is very important also around the reproducibility issue. You have to bear in mind that pre-analytical sample handling and the protocols associated with the sample handling process are extremely sensitive in the reproducibility issue. So I'm going to move on. Now, so finding rare diseases. So you see here that they have their catalog, and here you see the URL, and then basically you can use the directory for their resources, and then you can collect also via the RD Connect. It'll come later as well. So really, basically, if you put in the type what you need, you'll be able to see who's there, and then they can help you with also the processing here. They have what's called the negotiator, and that will help you actually interact with the sites that you want to work with and actually help you negotiate access to the samples, which if you've ever done it before, you know is no easy process. Okay, moving on to EATRIS, which is our organization or my organization that I work with, and CCRI as collaborators. For EATRIS, it's really about the validatory process. So confirming a hypothesis, oh, I think gene X is responsible for the deregulation of something, and then that causes disease Y. Now, to validate that and to take it towards the clinic obviously requires a lot of very high quality focused, quite boring, unsexy science. And it's less interesting from an academic publication perspective, but obviously essential if we want patients to have a benefit from the research you do. So EATRIS really tries to cover that gap, what's often called the valley of death, that prevents knowledge from actually being applied into the clinical perspective. So at EATRIS, we are also distributed infrastructure, about 115 research institutes. About half of those are university medical centers with patients and basic research, and the rest are specialized institutions, for instance, a non-human primate institute, drug screening centers, these kinds of things. We are fully accessible also through EJPRD, but also for any kind of question, and it's really covering any aspect of the process that you want to get to the clinic. So whether it's validating a biomarker, or trying to design a gene therapy, or accessing a patient cohort, or some of the more applied researchers. So you see here we cover all the therapeutic modalities, including gene, cell, and regenerative therapies, plus classical small molecules and vaccine immune monitoring. Imaging-enabled drug development, we support with highly specific molecular imaging technologies. And then the biomarkers obviously is a hugely important aspect of that. So everything is really about patient-centric research and trying to move towards that. And by doing so, we're basically bringing together the specialists in the actual biology, the pathways, the technologists that have the validated analytical tools, the latest readouts that know what they can and what they can't do, including the preclinical models, and then the clinician. And by bringing the people together, completing your team with the bits that you don't have, we can really move towards a robust process to get towards patients. So this is an example in our for drug development. We really provide quite a range of specialized support, ranging from screening to validation to development to access to specialized preclinical models that may not be accessible in your institute. And then also the special technologies that can help you, especially for rare diseases, something like imaging-enabled molecular imaging, for instance, being able to create a PET tracer for an antibody so that you can do PK/PD and biodistribution studies and understand the drug dosing is very useful. So do please feel free to engage with any questions you might have as to how also best to set up your translational strategy. There's going to be a call this year focused on characterization of diseases, and EATRIS can help you there as well. So very much about access to the biomarker validation process, but also the resources necessary to do that. So it's alongside BBMRI with their access to the kinds of samples and the data, we can support with the qualification process, qualifying the actual analytical process, as well as the analytical validity of the biomarker, etc., and can support also in moving towards the development of clinical diagnostic with assay design and such things. And finally, it's very important to remember that in order to innovate, in order to be able to actually get something to the patient, you're eventually at some point going to have to move towards the clinic and move towards very expensive product development, and that requires working with regulators, making sure that when you're going into clinical development that you're not going to kill people, working with industry because they have the 800 million euros it costs to develop a drug, and be able to really take things forward. So you need to have a good innovation management strategy as well. So EATRIS can help you there, particularly with things like orphan drug filing with the EMA, or doing a protocol advice for the EMA processes, etc. So do feel free to get into contact. Now, moving further downstream into clinical development, we have ECRIN, which is the European Clinical Research Infrastructure Network. They're Paris-based and have a very large consortium of clinical networks, and they provide services in trial planning and design. So they would support you as the sponsor in really understanding the feasibility of the trial. They have a committee that really looks at the protocol as well to make sure that it's fit to task and is going to be right for the patient. And then the services also then in trial execution, really to provide support to you as a sponsor so that you have everything you need in order to be able to conduct a trial robustly. It's worth bearing in mind that for rare diseases, multinational clinical trials have to be undertaken, obviously, because of the populations, and it's very, very hard, and there's always an underestimation of just how hard it is. So make sure if you are doing a clinical trial that you access a professional organization like ECRIN that can help you understand what the issues are going to be and why you're not going to be able to get that first patient in at date X when you think you might be. So they have lots of resources. There is a support office through the European Joint Program. They have also a specialized arm around pediatric research, which they've developed over the last few years. So lots of tools there that are available for you. And they also are creating a clinical trials toolbox, which is also under development and will be launched soon, hopefully. Here you see the contact for Marta, who's the contact point at ECRIN for rare diseases. Again, these slides will be available online afterwards. You can access all of these things. Now moving to Elixir. Elixir is basically life sciences data resources. I think the largest of the European infrastructures in biomedical, and they provide access to databases and tools, but also training materials to support, obviously, the difficult part of being a biologist or a clinician and then trying to understand what the best tools are for your data management and your data stewardship. So their goal is to really coordinate the resources that are being created around Europe so that they can really come under a coherent whole offering. So you'll see there are several different resources available for the rare diseases specifically. Here you see this, the rare disease registry BioTools with 193 tools, very interesting, and the service bundle for rare diseases as well. So definitely worthwhile looking there, and important to bear in mind that more and more research funders want to see very strong data management plans, want to see fair data being generated and that data being deposited in places where the research community can reuse it. So we have to bear in mind, we have to move with the times and make sure we're extracting maximum value for money for our research funders and making the data as reproducible and as shareable as possible. And they offer training courses, obviously a very important aspect of such a complex and difficult subject. Finally, on to EU OpenScreen, who are the European High Capacity Screening Network. Sorry, not finally, there is one more after this. EU OpenScreen is about drug screening, so chemical biology. They are great service provider with about 17 partner sites around Europe, and their service is really about developing the assays to do screening programs, and then conducting the screening, supporting in the data analysis, and then the subsequent medicinal chemistry that can help support the development of the chemical towards a specific needed chemical profile. And they also have training and the databases of bioactivity data, obviously very useful if you're trying to do some in silico predictive work. They have a range of compound libraries with approximately, I think, 100,000 chemicals, which is called the European Academic Chemical Library. It's a combination of a few. So it looks like about 150,000 unique chemicals in the compound library, and these are accessible by them. So it's definitely worth talking to these people if you are planning to do a screening campaign and would like to have access to those abilities. So development of assays, also in small to large well formats, ready to high throughput screening, plus that unique compound set. Also for repurposing, you'll see that they have 2,500 compounds that are known to have bioactivity, and also fragment-based screening as well, and hit characterization services. So definitely ones to talk to. So you can access them. There is a cost involved, so you would have to involve them in your grant process, but you can access them go through their website. You can see the various modes to do so, but they charge a small fee basically for accessing compound set. But there is a pilot there offered for free, so worth looking at. And finally, the infra frontier. So looking at mammalian models, at their genomes, really about characterization. So it's really about understanding understanding gene function by using mouse models to try and replicate those. So they offer services around developing models, the phenotyping of the model, which I think is particularly interesting and useful. Then obviously the archiving and distribution process as well, and then the necessary training and data expertise around this. So 1,800 different mouse strains, about 1,065 different genes, and associated with nearly 1,400 rare diseases. So definitely a very important resource in this field, and one that is very accessible. So you can have a look in the resource finder, the resource map at EJPRD, to have a look where to find what you need from them, but they're also very accessible, and we'd be happy to hear from you, I'm sure. And you can see here the various different access modes, and also it's a very large infrastructure, so there are collaborators all around Europe depending on your specific regional needs. Okay, I'm going to stop there. That gives us a little bit of time for some questions. I think we'll have about 10 minutes for questions. Here, I put the central help desk URL for accessing the European Joint Program, because they will point you at the direction of anybody when they know what your question is. But if you have specific questions around translational research or EATRIS, regulatory affairs, anything like this, you can contact us directly as well at Roseanne's address at eatris.eu. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'll stop sharing for a moment, and then hopefully we can get some questions.
Thank you, Anton. This was really informative. I must say that the entire path in translation process has been covered here, and I'm sure that if we do have attendees that are already doing some kind of translational research, could benefit from your presentation today. We only do have for now one question, and the question was from Margaux Pauer. It was, will we get copies of these slides or the recording? So the recording of the webinar is going to be available on ERICA website, and also on the website of Iran PetCam, and also at EATRIS, I hope. Okay, so you will be able to see the webinar afterwards. But also, Anton, if I'm right, they can also see the catalog of service already on the ERICA website that contains all of the information.
Indeed, yep, that should be the case.
Yes.
Yep. And that's just that's only a static Excel sheet right now, but over the next 3 months, we'll be turning it into an interactive searchable database of service providers on the ERICA website.
Okay, okay. So basically, our researchers, all researchers from ERN can refer to ERICA website for this catalog of service and also for this webinar, as well as to European Joint Program for Rare Disease and their innovation management tool once it is launched, you said in a few months time. Okay, so we do have some questions coming up. Just one question. Nicole van der Kar is asking, how can, just a second, I have a problem with this. Okay, how can I start with my new idea of repurposing a drug? Okay, this is Anton for you. How can I start?
Yeah, sure. Well, it depends at what stage you are, because if you already have the compound and you want to do the validation, then you have a different process to if you want to do a screening campaign because you have an idea, have a hypothesis about a shared pathway or something. I would suggest the easiest would be, EATRIS is very heavily involved in drug repurposing, and in fact, we're coordinating one large proposal to create the whole value chain for drug repurposing, which is under review by the Commission now. But drop the question to Roseanne. You saw the email there. I'm also going to throw my email address here. You can also put it to me, and let me know where you are in your repurposing process, because that will then change what you need to do. You might want to do, you might want to do some in silico confirmation. You might want to do a drug screening campaign, or you might be ready to move to preclinical validation or even clinical development if you're a clinician that has seen a signal in the field. But then there's questions around accessibility of the drug, who owns the drug master file, and the original data, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of questions you need to answer before knowing what the next best step is. So feel free to get in contact with us, and we can help put you in touch with the people that will help you. And in fact, this is part of our mentoring process as well. Right now, we're mentoring 4 different projects on drug repurposing. So we'd be happy to help you as well.
Okay, so I'm glad to see that this question was directed to the right person for answer. Okay, okay. Just one question. Oh, we get, okay. Sadly, we don't have any more questions coming in. We do have one hand. Nicole, okay, she has raised her hand. Should we give her
yeah, sure.
chance
Go ahead,
to speak?
Nicole.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're able to unmute her, that's great.
Yes, I am able, but she just okay. Yes. No, it's not. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you for this great webinar, and I'm puzzling with all the knowledge and information you gave us. And really, I have an interesting compound, which a drug which is already for a metabolic disease available. It's a rare disease, but I really would like to address it for another rare disease where I think it's valuable as well. And we have in vitro data as to do so. The drug is by the EMA. Validated, so it's already approved. It's used for this metabolic disease. So then I wonder, what shall I don't know where to begin, you know. That's why I asked already the question before. What would your advice be?
Yeah. Well,
I went to the company and they said, well, we are only focusing on this other rare disease, so don't worry, we will not move forward to your rare disease. So that's my problem I have at the moment.
Yeah, and it can, see, that is one of the big problems. If the drug is currently under patent belonging to that company only, and it's not a generic, companies are often very scared of losing control of data generation on their drug. So often the researcher will come and say, hey, I want to repurpose this. But the company will say no, because they're scared that you're going to find some imagine a serious adverse event happening in a trial that you conducted with their drug. It might put a clinical hold on their marketed drug, which is maybe hundreds of millions of euros of revenue for them. So companies tend to be very scared. Not always. They sometimes will collaborate, and there's sometimes ways of getting around it. So I would say drop an email to me, and I'll put you in touch with the right people on our team, and we will basically go through a series of questions on what stage you are, what level of data you have right now, and what would be possible next steps to try and validate that and get that towards a clinical trial filing. And then you have to think about things like orphan drug designation as well, which is a possible way to help get support from the EMA in processes, but also create data monopoly for you if correct, so that company can't just take it away from you. So there's a lot of questions to ask, but we can systematically go through those in a meeting. So just drop me an email. I wrote my email address in the box, and we'll make an appointment. Okay.
Thanks.
You're very welcome.
Okay, great. We continue with questions. So we have another question. Hello, you mentioned EU open screen has a free to use. Are all the other services you mentioned free to ERNs? Thank you. Asked by Natasha Bar.
Yeah. Hello, Natasha. I'm afraid most of the services that you saw probably have some sort of cost involved. I know that Elixir, so the data services, everything they have is free of charge. It's financed by the member states. But most of the services you would have seen, accessing samples from BMRI, so the actual samples, you would have to pay. To work with the EATRIS, if you want to access one of our institute's preclinical model, you would have to pay. With ECRIN, the services conducting the trial, setting up, conducting the trial would have to be paid. So each of the infrastructures have a way that you can access them and go and apply for a grant together. So we can be a service provider you identify in your grant proposal and application, or unless you have existing funds available, but most academics don't, we would go in a proposal together. So before you write your proposal, have a look at what services you might need and find out specifically how those infrastructures will be able to support you. But again, if you go through the European Joint Program, we can direct you at them, or you can go directly to them and let them know you're developing a proposal, and they'll let you know how to get involved, so that it doesn't have to come out of your institutional pocket.
Great. Also, one message to everybody. I will now paste the link for our catalog of service that is available on the ERICA website, and it is now in chat for everybody to see. Mari, thank you very much for mentioning this.
Yeah, good. And so basically, I mean, I think the take-home message of today's presentation is there are a lot of organizations out there who are designed in a not-for-profit way, but are service organizations to try and help you, the researcher, do robust patient-centric research. There's a lot of attention and activity in the rare diseases field, a lot of resources out there. You don't have to try and go this alone. You don't have to try and navigate that jungle to the patient alone. It's too multidisciplinary and multisectoral to do that successfully. So drop a line to the European Joint Program Central Help Desk before you do anything, and I'm sure we can find somebody that can help ask the right question and then find the right person to ask that.
Great, Anton, this was really amazing. I'm sure that many of our researchers will listen to your advice and talk to European Joint Program or to ERICA project managers or to Rosanne and you at EATRIS, but basically you really did listed all the important infrastructures and institutions that can help them, and I hope this is going to be beneficial for many of our researchers that attended this webinar today. Okay, let me just have another quick look at questions. Yes, that's all that we have for now. So we are also in our time, the range time. So Anton, anything from you for the end of the webinar?
Just thank you all. A big thank you for attending. There will be more educational webinars from ERICA. There are educational tools also from the EJPRD. So do please keep your eyes on those websites. There's a lot of important information and support activities out there. We'd be happy to support you. And also get in touch with the ERICA coordination if you have specific ERN questions that you think could be supported in that community context. I'm sure they'd be very happy to hear from you. Thanks very much for attending today. We really enjoyed it. Adriana, thank you very much for your co-moderation. Was excellent.
Yeah, thank you, Anton. Thank you very much, and thank you to all attendees. And I hope we will see each other again on our next or second educational webinar. And also, we do plan to also hold a few workshops, and you will be informed through ERN project managers and coordinators. Thank you all once again. Anton, thank you very much, and until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.